Sir, we are live now. We can start.
Okay, thank you, Balaji. Good evening, everyone. We are here for yet another live session for our course on technology forecasting for strategic decision making. This is our last live session before the exam session that we have dedicated for that purpose. The date and time we will announce. It's probably a week or 2 weeks before the exam. So we will be there helping you out with the exam for whoever is going to appear for the exam. So I am Bala Ramudre, and with me I have Professor Dimitri Kucheravi logging in from Strasbourg, France, and Siddharth also logging in from Pune like I am. Say hello, Professor Dimitri and Siddharth.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me for this live session. We are at the session number 3. We had not so many questions for the session number 2, and we believe that we will have some questions for today because you are advancing with the course, and if you are advancing well, undoubtedly some questions have arisen. So thank you for your questions. If you have someone.
Okay, so one question that was there at the end of our live session after we hung up, somebody typed in a question was what is the deal with, as far as I remember, I don't have the question right in front of me, but the question went something like, what's the difference between the hype cycle, the Gartner hype cycle, and tech forecasting? So what's is there a correlation? Should we focus on the hype cycle? Do we add value when we do tech forecasting? Something to that effect is what I remember from last time. So I know we sort of responded to a similar question in the last year's semester, but nothing. I loved the question, so I thought we should discuss that this time as well. Professor Dimitri, over to you.
Yeah, let's just see what is the main idea of hype cycle and to what does it serve? Because if you don't understand this, I believe you can see my screen that I'm sharing right now. Yeah, in fact, the hype cycle, this is a cycle about hypes. It's not a cycle about technologies. This represent mostly what people are talking about. And behind of this, there is a strong belief that if people are talking about it, it should happen. In the real case, if you look to the history of new technologies, inventions, and innovation, it's very rare. Happens like that something that we talk about today becomes really mainstream tomorrow. It's quite opposite. But by the way, it's interesting to understand what does it mean, this hype cycle, and why it was introduced. First of all, it was introduced by Gartner, a consulting company, which updated regularly. They measure the level of expectations about certain technologies. And on their curve, they said, okay, at the beginning, we have a lot of expectation, which grows within a very short period of time. And later on, the level of expectations start to decline after the peak, when the real application of technology somehow on the slope of enlightenment. What happens next after the people stop talking about writing articles, reading articles, and discuss near the coffee machine? It takes a time, and some technologies can pass through this slope, through their disillusion, and they can arrive at the real technologies. Some of them, they will just disappear, and we will remember them just by reading the articles from very old journals or some books. Why it is interesting to see, because in fact we can take some ideas to what technology we can put at our attention and which one we can really take as a subject of technology forecast. For instance, why it is matter? Because when people start to talk about it, means it can satisfy certain demands. And this cycle is not so much useful for forecasting. Forecasting means answer for the question what, when, and where. Because here on the horizontal dimension, we have a time, but this time is, how to say this, it is not measured precisely. It's a very relative dimension. There are no months, no days, no years on this. We have no idea what is the distance in years from peak of expectation to the real implementation. Even the recent version of Hype Cycle, the specialists of Gartner's, they try to add some time dimension from 5 to 10 years, from 2 to 5 years, or more than 10 years, and so on. This is for curiosity mostly, not so much for real strategic decision, because the real strategic decision, they need to be done with a clear idea in mind, what will be the return of investments if you are going to invest in certain direction. Another idea that those kind of estimate can be used, and this can be used in order just to see what is a gap, the minimum gap between what we need. For instance, like in a time of pandemic situation, we needed to have kind of proof that people were vaccinated or not, just in order to arrange our policies. And those proof was, okay, at those time it was named health passport. And the health passport, this is a old version of Hype Cycle. The health passport still does not exist as a passport, but some ideas were implemented in order to deal with a pandemic more efficiently. If I just try to put my fingers on the Hype Cycle of Emerging Technology 2021, and why I'm using this particular one, not 2022 or not 2020, because it helps us to make kind of approximate estimation. We are in the beginning of 2023, so and we can see the expectation and reality gap. What is another point, as I told already, for forecasting, we need to answer for the question what, when, and where. Here, we have very fuzzy idea when, and here we have no idea where. Somewhere in an English-speaking world, okay, but this is too huge. And we have a very generic definition of what, like decentralized identity. What is exactly technology? Of course, on the website of consulting company Gartner, they suggest some explanation, but to my limited experience with technology forecasting, we can use it as a beginning of the talk about future technology, but not for operational purpose to run forecast, due to very fuzzy measurement of time and some very particular measurement of expectations. How do we measure expectations? Number of publications in scientific journal everywhere, or number of people who are talking about, or number of investors who invest their money. This is always kind of a very soft ground on which we are staying with this. You can see in 2021, there were a lot of expectations about employee communication applications. There were a lot growing expectation about multi-experiences, generative artificial intelligence. And we can say that for some of these names, we still on the same position for 2023, or some of them, they already disappeared. But the use of this hype cycle, it can be useful for discussion, but the very limited application for technology forecasting, for strategic decision making, according to our experience to work with companies. This is what I would like to say about hype cycle.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dimitri. This sounds more like the Twitter trends or the hashtag trends that people talk about. So people want to look at what's popular, what are people talking about. So this hype cycle sort of reminds me of that. Would that be a parallel to what the hype cycle really is?
Yeah, we can say like that. We can say like that. But you know, even the data from Twitter, when they applied properly, they can bring very interesting insight and understandings. For instance, recently I read a paper about different theory within a pandemic situation. How did they grow up? And the researchers, in order to analyze those trends, they used data collected from Twitter.
Oh.
Okay. But what they learned, in fact, they learned how the different ideas, which society is sensitive to these ideas, how fast they disseminate, and even they are not proven, how fast they are replaced by another kind of fake ideas. This is very interesting. But it was based on what circulated in Twitter, how many messages were submitted and so on.
Okay, but the point being that this does not have the three things that we talk about: the what, when, and the where. Only the what is talked about. The where is very fuzzy, and the when depends on how much people are talking about it rather than any other data. So
we need just to check our basic assumption.
Yes.
What people are talking about today is not automatically what will happen tomorrow.
Got it.
And if we check this assumption, we will understand that how to use kind of information.
Actually, this I don't know, maybe a lighter topic now than let's say if I had talked about it a year ago. One of my, let's say, acquaintances was COVID positive. She had a test, recently. This was not too long ago. She had a test in her home. She tested herself and found that she was positive. The acquaintance's friend. This acquaintance is in, let's say, the US, and this person whom she was talking to, saying that I am COVID positive about a week. This happened about 10 days ago. Was in India, and this person said, "Oh, is COVID still around?" And that was her question. So I thought just because we're not talking about it doesn't mean it's not there. So the hype cycle sort of refers to the buzz that is going around, the what's on the top of the people's mind, and what are people, but not in terms of sales numbers or in terms of real hard data, in terms of usage, adoption, applicability, all that. If they're there, then that's useful for me, because that can give you an idea of how the innovation is progressing, how is it adopted. That can be the data that we can use. So interesting. Thank you so much for that, Dimitri. This is useful for us. Let me just... I think that's pretty much the questions we had from last time as well as for today. So I have nothing else to add to what we've already said in the course or in the discussion forums. There's Is there anything else on parting words, Siddharth or Dimitri? Is there something that you want to share?
Nothing from my side, Professor.
Okay.
Thanks for this.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see the outputs that students bring out of these exercises, because this is the third week, and it means they already submitted some assignment, they already watched some materials, and they expect to go further. And as far as I know, it is suggested this year to have kind of practical workshop
Oh, yes.
with what students are learning now, in order to help students to deal with their real projects to forecast.
That's correct.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
But
So
could,
that,
could you, mhm.
yeah. Sorry, please go ahead.
Could you elaborate a bit on this subject?
Okay. So thanks, Professor Dimitri, for bringing this up. So we, like last time, I want to reiterate, people who are watching this recording, is that we will certainly follow up this course with a workshop, which will have practical application, synchronous workshop. Professor Dimitri will log in from France. We will do that from India, and you from wherever you are. You can participate as part of being even registered in the course. You don't have to have your exam certificate for enrolling into the course. All you have to be is, even if you're a past registrant of this course, you can sign up for our workshop. This will be in June. And once we have a firm fix on the date and the time, we will definitely send out an announcement multiple times. Once just before the exams, once as we get closer to the date, we'll have some rounds of announcements. So you can certainly sign up for this workshop. You can bring in your own technology, you can bring in your own statement case that you're working on, and you can use that as part of our workshop. So this will be definitely in June, and the mode is going to be online. You can sign up as an alumni of this course. Even if you've just registered and not signed up for an exam, you're still eligible to apply for this workshop. If there are too many, we will have multiple workshops. If the minimum number we're looking at as registrants will be 10 to 15, somewhere in between, so that it's worth your time, worth our time to interact with teams and do this. So that's going to be our plan. The exact specific details we will certainly circulate. Siddharth and Dimitri, did I leave out any details?
No, that's okay. For me, you explained everything clearly.
Okay. All right.
I guess you covered most of it, Balaji. We'll
Okay.
confirm the dates once we have a confirmation from all parties with respect to the dates. I will get in touch with the NPTEL team between today and tomorrow, and if we have a confirmation, we'll start rolling out the announcements also from our side.
Super,
Yeah.
super. Spoken like a manager. Okay.
Happy to hear that.
Awesome. So yes, so we are so looking forward to meeting you all during the workshop and interacting with you synchronously. I won't say face to face. It's still going to be via the screen, but it'll be synchronous. Is what we are waiting for. So we have one more live session before the exams, and after that is going to be the workshop in June of this year. Okay. So if there's nothing else, then we can wrap up today's session. Thank you so much, Professor Dimitri and Siddharth, for your help. And viewers, listeners, if you have any further questions, if you have anything at all about what we talked about today or anything in the course, you have some feedback to share, feel free to do that on the discussion forum or using the feedback forms that you get from NPTEL. We are keenly looking at that. Thank you so much and have a great day ahead. See you then. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye, Dimitri and Siddharth.
Bye. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye, everyone.